ओम नमो ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ब्रह्म ब्रह्मोवाच इति तद्गृणतं तेषां मुनीनां योगाधर्मिणां प्रतिनन्द्य जगदेदं विकुण्ठनिलयो विभु। श्रीभगवानुवाच एतो तो
Sorry, Mataji. Sorry to interrupt. You do the Sanskrit, and Bhaktivedanta Mataji will do the translation, and then you carry on like that, the
That's
Sanskrit
fine.
and the
That's fine. I'm
translation.
sorry, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Bhakti Nidhi Mataji, when you're ready, please.
Sure. Lord Brahma said, after thus congratulating the sages for their nice words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose abode is in the kingdom of God, spoke as follows.
श्रीभगवानुवाच एतो तो पार्षदो मह्यं जयो विजय एव च कदर्थीकृत्य मां यद्वो बहव अकृतम् अतिकर्मम्।
The personality of Godhead said, these attendants of mine, Jaya and Vijaya by name, have committed a great offense against you because of ignoring me.
यस्तव एत्योर्धृतो दण्डो भवाद्भिर्माम् अनुवर्तयः सा एवानुमतो सम्भिर्मुनयो देव हेलनात्।
O great sages, I approve of the punishment that you who are devoted to me have meted out to them.
तद्वा प्रसाद्यामद्यं ब्रह्मदेवं परं हि मे तद्धेति आत्मा कृतं मन्य यत्सवा पुंभिरसत्कृता।
To me, the Brahmana is the highest and most beloved personality. The disrespect shown by my attendants has actually been displayed by me, because the doormen are my servitors. I take this to be an offense by myself. Therefore, I seek your forgiveness for the incident that has arisen.
यन्नमानि च घृणति लोको भृते कृतागसि सो साधु वादस्तत्कीर्तिं हन्ति त्वचम् इवामिह।
A wrong act committed by a servant leads people in general to blame his master, just as a spot of white leprosy on any part of the body pollutes all of the skin.
यस्यामृतामल्यश श्रवण वागः सद्य पुनति जगत् अवष्पचद् विकुण्ठः सो अहं सो भवात् भवात्भ्या उपलब्धा सुति त्रिथा कीर्तिश्चिन्त्यं स्वबहुम् अपि वः प्रतिकूलवृत्तिम्।
Anyone in the entire world, even down to the Chandala, who lives by cooking and eating the flesh of the dog, is immediately purified if he takes bath in hearing through the ear the glorification of my name, fame, etc. Now you have realized me without doubt. Therefore, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm if its conduct is found hostile to you.
यत्सेव्या चरणापद्मा पवित्रा रेणुं सदे शतखिलामलं प्रतिलब्धा शिलं न शरीर विरक्तम् अपि मां विजहति यस्य प्रेक्षा लावर्था इतरे नियमन् वहन्ति।
The Lord continued, because I am the servitor of my devotees, my lotus feet have become so sacred that they immediately wipe out all sin, and I have acquired such a disposition that the goddess of fortune does not leave me, even though I have no attachment for her, while others praise her beauty and observe sacred vows to secure from her even a slight favor.
नाहं तथाद्मि यजमाना हविर्वितानि श्योतद्गृहताप्लुतम् अदन्हुता भून्मुखेन यद्ब्राह्मणस्य मुखतश्चरतो अनुघाषं तुष्टस्य मया अवाहितैर्निजकर्मापके।
I do not enjoy the oblations offered by the sacrifices in the sacrificial fire, which is one of my own mouths, with the same relish as I do the delicacies overflowing with ghee, which are offered to the mouths of the Brahmins, who have dedicated to me the results of their activities and who are ever satisfied with my prasad.
येषं येषं बिभर्णि अहम् अखण्डा विकुण्ठयोगा मया अमलान्घ्रि रजाकीर्तये विप्रंस्तु का न विशेषता यद् विशेषता यद् हर्नभा सदं पुनति सह ललाम लोकान्.
I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. The water sanctifies the three worlds, along with Lord Shiva who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same?
We can't hear you.
Hare Krishna. We can't hear the reciters. Hare Krishna.
Can I have a Sanskrit reciter to carry on until Divya Mataji comes back from text 10, please? Any volunteers? Hare Krishna. Kritida Mataji, is Girish Prabhu with you? Hare Krishna. Oops.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Even though I haven't practiced, I'll have a go, I'll try. Ye me tanur dvija varan duhatir madhya bhutani alabdha saranani cha beda buddhya drakshyanti agakshata drashohi hiya hai manyavastan gridhara rusa mama kusanti adidanda netuhu.
The Brahmins, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment has been impaired by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture-like messengers of Yamraj, the superintendent of the sinful persons.
Ye brahmanan mayi diya shipato rachayantas tusyadradha smita sudhakshita padma bhaktraha vanyanyuraga kalyata majjavad granantaha sambodhyanti aham ivaham uparatastahi.
On the other hand, they captivate my heart, who are gladdened in heart and who, their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian smiles, respect the Brahmanas, even though the Brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the Brahmanas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you.
तन्मे स्वभरतुर अवशायमलक्षमानौ यस्मद्व्यतिक्रमागतिं प्रतिपद्य सद्यः भूयो ममान्तिकं वितं तद् अनुग्रहो मे यत्कल्पतामच्चिरतो भृत्ययोर्विवासः.
These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the fruit of their own transgression, they may return to my presence soon. Oh, sorry. And the time, sorry, Mataji, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long.
भ्रमोवाच अथा तस्य सतीं देवीं ऋषिकुल्यं सरस्वतीं नास्वद्यामन्युदुस्तानां तेषाम् आत्मपि अतृप्यत.
Brahma continued, even though the sages had been bitten by the serpent of anger, their souls were not satiated with hearing the Lord's loving and illuminating speech, which was like a series of Vedic hymns.
सतीं व्याधया शृण्वन्तो लघ्वीं गुर्व आर्ताघवरां विघाय गधा गम्भीरां नाविदुस्तच्चिकित्सितम्.
The Lord's excellent speech was difficult to comprehend because of its momentous import and its most profound significance. The sages heard it with wide open ears and pondered it as well, but although hearing, they could not understand what he intended to do.
ते योगामयारब्धा परं मिथ्या महोदयं प्राचुर्प्रञ्जलायो विप्रः प्रहृष्टः कुसुभितत्वचः.
The four Brahman sages were nevertheless extremely delighted to behold him, and they experienced a thrill throughout their bodies. They then spoke as follows to the Lord, who had revealed the multi-glories of the Supreme Personality through his internal potency, Yogamaya.
Hare Krishna Bhakti Nidhi Mataji, are you able to continue?
With the English or the Sanskrit?
The Sanskrit, has she joined, rejoined?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Oh, Divya
No,
Mataji has rejoined.
no. Divya Mataji, I can't see her. I keep asking her and I've tried to call her and there's no answer. Oh, she has joined.
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
that's what I was asking. Would she like to carry on?
Hare Krishna, Divya Mataji. Can you hear me?
That's okay, Mataji. I'll carry on.
Yeah, please, because
Rasaya uchuhu na vayam bhagavan vidmas tava deva chikirsitam krato me nugrahascheti yad adhyakshaha prabhashase.
The sages said, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, we are unable to know what you intend for us to do. For even though you are the Supreme Ruler of all, you speak in our favor as if we had done something good for you.
Brahmanyasya param daivam brahmanaha kilate prabho vipranam deva devanam bhagavanatma daivatam.
O Lord, you are the Supreme Director of the Brahmanical culture. Your considering the Brahmins to be in the highest position is your example for teaching others. Actually, you are the supreme worshipable deity, not only for the gods, but for all the Brahmanas also.
त्वत्तः सनतानो धर्मो रुक्ष्यते तनुभिस्तव धर्मस्य परमो भूयो निर्विकारो भवान् मतः.
You are the source of the eternal occupation for all living entities, and by your multi-manifestations of personalities of Godhead, you have always protected religion. You are the supreme objective of religious principles, and in our opinion, you are inexhaustible and unchangeable eternally.
Hare Krishna. Sorry for my mistakes. Please forgive me. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shriji Kishori Mataji, for stepping in. Thank you, Divya Mataji. I'm not sure if she's online. And thank you, Bhakti Nidhi. Some of these verses, Shriji Mataji, are not very easy. So it's amazing that you still did it. Thank you very much. I am on this chat session. I don't remember after how long, but I know it's very, very long. So please do excuse me if I've kind of forgotten the format, or forgive me for my mistakes. But let's see what we can get out of. I'm supposed to do 4 verses, so
A warm welcome back to you, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Shriji Mataji. Let's start with some prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Tinamine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. So thank you to all of you. You are still continuing with this on this chat journey, and it's amazing. We've been having these sessions for years now, and you all still are here. Absolutely amazing. So today we are going to be discussing 3rd canto, 16th chapter, verses 9 to 12. And I'll just start in a bit. I'll just chant some more prayers, and then we'll dive into the verses. Narayanam namaskrityam namaram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udiret. Nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. So, Chapter 16 is about the 2 doorkeepers of Vaikuntha, Jai and Vijay, who have been cursed by the sages. So just to get a little bit of the chapter context, we know what's happening here. The 4 Kumaras were trying to enter the place for Krishna. The door was being guarded by Jai and Vijay, and Jai and Vijay did not allow these young sages, thinking they are not qualified to enter these gates. And so the Kumaras cursed them to fall into material existence. And we heard in some of the previous verses how Lord Vishnu arrives, and he obviously is responding with complete humility and reverence. And he says that because it is my servants who have committed this mistake, it's my fault, it's my mistake, and I will accept whatever punishment you give. So that's what has happened. And then so there is this conversation happening between so the Lord is speaking now. So these next four verses, we're going to hear what the Lord is saying. And I will not go into the Sanskrit because we do have to discuss 4 verses. And I am still conscious that we need to, that's what we used to do. We used to finish by around 7:30 so that we would have time for if there are any questions or comments. So I'll go straight into verse number 9. Just to give refresh our memories, I'll read the translation. The translation for verse 9 says, I am the master of my unobstructed internal energy, and the water of the Ganges is the remnant left after my feet are washed. There is somebody's headphones of somebody's mic is on, so that water sanctifies the 3 worlds along with Lord Shiva, who bears it on his head. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? So this verse is actually here you can see how the Lord is glorifying the devotees. The Lord says, if I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? So there are some key points from the purport and from the verse itself. We won't discuss all of them, but we'll try and discuss a few. So obviously, Prabhupada is talking about, the Ganges River, how sacred the river is. Perhaps on this forum, we may have discussed in the past how the Ganges descended. So we won't go into that detail because I think everybody knows that story. But I just thought, I'll just give some few verses from our scriptures which glorify River Ganga. So in the Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verse 31, when Krishna is talking about all of his qualities, he says, of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges. So Krishna is identifying himself with the Ganges, showing how supreme she is amongst the rivers, right? And then in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, I'm just going to check somebody who is on unmute, and I keep hearing things. Okay, in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, chapter 17, verse 1, it says, the water of the Ganges, which has washed the feet of the Lord, sanctifies the 3 worlds. Lord Shiva holds it on his head and it purifies all living beings. So again, over here in this verse also, it is elaborating on the cosmic descent of the Ganges. So it is not from this material world. We all know that. And it's talking and glorifying about the sanctifying power of the Ganga. Elsewhere in the scripture, the Ganga is described as Jala Brahma. Jala Brahma means the supreme Lord in liquid form. So some key points from this particular purport is, of course, about the Ganga, but the main thing that this verse and this purport is bringing out is how the Lord is honoring the devotees more than even the sacred Ganga. So first, we understand the importance of Ganga. And then we see how the Lord is honoring the devotees more than the Ganga. So he is the supreme. He is self-sufficient. He is the controller. He is the most powerful. And still he is glorifying his devotees by placing their dust on his head. And this actually reflects the Lord's genuine reverence for those devotees who surrender unto him in pure devotion. And what this is teaching us is that bhakti is much more greater than knowledge, than power, than actually the Lord himself, because the Lord says that I actually can be bought by bhakti and I don't know how to repay my devotees. There is no way that I can repay my devotees for the love that they have for me. Correct? And there are so many verses in our scriptures which are glorifying the devotees. There's one beautiful verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I will just recite one verse from there because there are so many, so we won't go into all of them. And that verse says, the dust of the feet of a devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of food left by a devotee are three very powerful substances. By rendering service to these three, one attains the supreme goal of ecstatic love for Krishna. So Lord Chaitanya himself taught that serving the foot dust of devotees leads to prema bhakti. And then again, there is this very famous verse which most of us perhaps recite. Gopir Bhartur Padakamalyor Das 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 Anudas. So servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. And this is not just symbolic. This actually, when you apply it and when you have faith in Krishna's words, Krishna here is saying, that I am taking the dust of my devotees. And again, the last line of this particular verse is just amazing. If I can take the dust of the feet of the Vaishnava on my head, who will refuse to do the same? So it's very important for us to not just theoretically understand this, but to be able to apply it. Perhaps we are not there yet, but we can pray, we can hope that someday we are able to apply this teaching, because it says very clearly that anybody who does that will reach the goal of getting Krishna Prema. I'm sorry, I'm just going to check who is on mute. Sorry, I keep having to do that, but it does disturb the flow of thought. Um, Obviously, there are many teachings. We know of so many places where Prabhupada constantly talks about this. Mahaprabhu talks about humility. Mahaprabhu talks about how being a servant of the servant of the servant is the safest position to be and the most glorious position to be in. But I was thinking that perhaps we could talk about some examples. If any of you can think of, I'll give you a minute while I talk about some examples. But there are exalted devotees in our scriptures who've kind of proved this. They proved the power of taking shelter and taking the mercy of a Vaishnava. If anybody can think about any such devotees, while I will just give you some examples, I'll give you one and I'll wait for somebody if you can think of somebody like that. So, from the scriptures, and we've heard this story, we heard about King Rahugana and Jadabharat. So, you know how King Rahugana was, obviously proud of being a king, and the way he was talking to Jadabharat, and he was being so extremely rude to him. Because obviously Jad Bharat couldn't carry him properly, but that's another story, that's for another day. But when he realized the exalted position of Jad Bharat as a devotee of the Lord, he immediately, despite his royal status, he immediately humbled himself before Jad Bharat. Correct? And because he humbled himself, he offered his service, he was submissive, he received transcendental knowledge. So that's one example. Can anybody think of any other examples like that? Any thoughts from our scriptures? Anybody, who thinks of how a devotee, when he humbles himself, surrenders to another devotee, gets actually love of God? Any thoughts? Okay, very quiet audience.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I think it's Lord Hanuman.
Lord Hanuman, because he was humble.
Yes.
Okay, but he took shelter of the Lord. He didn't really take shelter of a devotee, did he?
Yeah, that's
Hare
true.
Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Is that Narad Muni when he was serving the devotees?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Thank
Narad Muni, very good example of Narad Muni when he was just a young boy, 5 year old, and we had the Bhaktivedantas staying there. His mother was serving the Bhaktivedantas, and he also served them. Not only was he serving them, he took permission from them and he took the remnants of their prasad.
Yes.
You know, we just read just a couple of minutes back how remnants of prasad, if you take of a devotee, that purifies you. Yes, Narad Muni is a fantastic example.
Thank you.
Any
Mataji,
other?
Mataji, story of Amrish Maharaj
Ambarish Maharaj.
and some who was that who came down very angry and cursed him, and then
Durvasa Muni. Durvasa
the
Muni.
Durvasa Muni. Ultimately, Amrish Maharaj had to go to Krishna, and he said that because you have insulted my devotee, I won't be able to help you. You have to go back to the devotee, and that way, Durvasa Muni was pardoned by Amrish Maharaj.
No, that's a good example where we can see the opposite effect. What we are seeing is that Durvasa Muni was so rude to Ambarish Maharaj, and he wanted to actually kill him, and Ambarish Maharaj just stood there quietly accepting whatever Durvasa Muni was doing. And we'll in our next verses we'll touch upon that also. And so yes, and that's correct, Puja Mataji, that finally he had to take shelter of Ambarish Maharaj. And only when he took shelter of a devotee was he then allowed to, or his activities, or he was forgiven. Even the Lord could not forgive him. Yes, that's a very good example as well. I have some more examples, but to be honest, you've already given such beautiful examples. We don't need to go into any more. There are, of course, many, many examples in our scriptures, but you've given all the examples, and that's amazing. So from these examples and from the verse, what reflections that we can take away is that spiritual advancement, spiritual progress begins with humility and honoring devotees, right? And when we say taking the dust off the feet of Vaishnavas, it's actually spiritually transformative, and it's so important for us to understand that when we recite these prayers in the morning before we start our japa, we always say, vancha kalpatarubhascha, or whenever we meet each other, the reason all these things are inculcated in us as a practice is because these are very, very strong emotions, and we must not just take them for granted, and not just say it for the sake of it, but actually mean it from within. And then we will start seeing the transformation, because if the Lord himself is saying that he honors his devotees, then we must follow suit. We have to just follow the example set by the Supreme Lord himself. So that's verse 9 for us. Now we move on to verse 10, and I'll read the translation again. The Brahmanas, the cows, and the defenseless creatures are my own body. Those whose faculty of judgment has been impaired by their own sin look upon these as distinct from me. They are just like furious serpents, and they are angrily torn apart by the bills of the vulture like messengers of Yamaraj, the superintendent of sinful persons. So, over here, the one of the one or the key points from this purport is that the Brahmanas, cows, women, children, elderly, they are considered vulnerable, and they are very, very dear to the Lord. The Lord is actually identifying these beings as his own body. Imagine that when these beings are being identified as the Lord's body, so offending them is equivalent to offending the Lord directly. And if we see these beings as separate from the Lord, it's described in the verse and the purport that that is seen as sinful and spiritually blind. And people who actually see these five classes as separate from the Lord, they are punished by Yamaraj's messengers. The Lord's especially instructs that no one should be envious of these five, especially the cows and the brahmanas. This is from the purport. Srila Prabhupada says this, correct? So again, now just some, some key points that we should take is that when we have this non-dual vision, where we see things separate to the Lord, that actually is a sinful vision. And if we have that kind of vision, then there will be reactions, right? In the Bhagavad Gita, there's this verse which says, the humble sage sees with equal vision a brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and dog eater, right? Everybody is equal in the sage's eyes, and that is true spiritual vision, where we recognize the Lord's presence in all beings, right? So again, some reflections from this particular verse is that we must protect and honor the vulnerable, especially the cows and the brahmanas, because the cows and the brahmanas are very, very dear to the Lord. Spiritual vision means that we should be able to see the Lord's presence in all beings. And we should not neglect or abuse anybody, but especially the cows and the brahmanas, we are supposed to offer protection to them. And if we don't do that, then it says very clearly that there will be karmic consequence. So that's verse 10. Quite straightforward and quite clear. That is why I'm not dwelling too much on that verse. But of course, we can have reflections later also. We move on to verse 11, translation. On the other hand, they captivate my heart who are gladdened in heart, and who, their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian smiles, respect the brahmanas, even though the brahmanas utter harsh words. They look upon the brahmanas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. Okay. When Krishna is saying I am pacifying you, Krishna is actually pacifying the four Kumaras, because right now they are very, very angry. And Krishna is accepting that yes, you are angry, you're rightfully angry, and Vishnu is trying to pacify them. So some key points again from the purport is that first point, the devotees do not retaliate. And I think it was Puja Mataji who gave the example of Ambarish Maharaj and Durvasha Muni. When Durvasha Muni cursed Ambarish Maharaj very humbly with folded hands, head bowed down, accepted that curse. So he did not retaliate. In the purport itself, Prabhupada is giving us various examples. So he gives the examples of the sons of Kuvera. Everybody remembers this story, the sons of Kuvera who were cursed by Narad Muni. Yes, remember the story? What was the names of the sons of Kuberas? Anybody remember that? And what was the curse? No? Yes?
Was Nalkuvera?
Nalakuvera and Manigriva.
Manigriva.
And what was the curse that Narad Muni gave them?
That you become trees because you were
Yes.
bathing in the...
Yes. So they were bathing in the water and they did not have any clothes on. And even though Narad Muni passed by, they did not show any respect. They did not cover themselves. And then Narad Muni said that, okay, if you like to be naked, then you can be naked for hundreds and hundreds of years. You will become trees, right? And then we know the pastime of Krishna, how he liberates them, but we won't go into that. The point here is that they did not retaliate. They humbly accepted the curse. Like how Ambarish Maharaj humbly accepted the curse. And in this particular chapter, we are seeing the example of Jai and Vijay. Jai and Vijay are being cursed by the four Kumaras, and they also submitted respectfully. They did not retaliate. The Lord did not retaliate. In fact, the Lord came to pacify the four Kumaras, right? So the proper response when a Brahmana is cursing you, or when a Brahmana or a Vaishnav is angry with you, is that you just try to pacify the devotee that you have offended with sweet words. And Prabhupada, in the verse, the translation gives the example like a son pacifying an angry father. But Prabhupada also in the purport talks about modern distortions where we are having the idea of Daridra Narayan, which misplaces reverence. We don't want that. There is no Daridra Narayan. Narayan can never be Daridra. So that concept which was there in India is actually wrong. There is no concept as Daridra Narayan, right? Some more examples of humble submission that we have from our scriptures is obviously we've spoken about Nalakuvera and Manigriva, but one more example, which is a very beautiful pastime, and maybe some of you know it, is when King Chitraketu was cursed by Parvati. How many of you know this story or remember this story?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, very, very good. Because I see now you've been studying Bhagavatam for a long time. So most of you who are on this call already know all these pastimes, you know, that's why it's good. So, so when Chitraketu was cursed by Parvati, he did not retaliate. He did not say anything. He just accepted it without any protest. And you know what comes across here and what principle or what key points we should take is that all of these are devotees of the Lord and they have full faith in the plans of Krishna. They accept the plan of Krishna. They glorify the Lord's plan. And thus they see no reason to retaliate or be angry or be upset, you know. So true humility and true surrender is shown not when things are easy, but when one is challenged or when one is insulted. Right? And here we can see the Lord himself is setting the example. He's trying to pacify the Kumaras with sweet words. He is accepting that, yes, my servants have made a mistake, and because they are my servants and I'm responsible for them. So I have made a mistake, and the Lord is coming to pacify them. So submission and reverence and acceptance is the path of bhakti. We don't, now that doesn't mean, so let's not go to the other extreme where we see wrong things being done to us or to somebody else and we still accept it thinking, oh, but that's a devotee. We are not talking about that. Krishna has given all of us intelligence to know where to draw the line. So we have to be careful about that. We've spoken about this also a couple of times on this forum, but yeah, just to say this again, that humility does not mean that even if you think or you understand with your intelligence that this is wrong, you keep accepting it because you think that, oh, this is a Vaishnava. It doesn't mean that. It does not mean that. All right, so we move on to our last verse, verse 12. Translation: These servants of mine have transgressed against you, not knowing the mind of their master. I shall therefore deem it a favor done to me if you order that, although reaping the fruit of their transgression, they may return to my presence soon, and the time of their exile from my abode may expire before long. Now, this is such a beautiful verse because this verse is showing us the Lord's anxiousness for his devotee. Even here, the Lord is saying that yes, they have transgressed. They have not understood the mind of their master. And thus, it is correct that you are punishing them. However, he says, they may return to my presence soon. So he is hoping that they will come back. And this shows the Lord how he's waiting for his devotees. And it's not just Jai and Vijay, he's waiting for all of us. He's anxious for all of us to go back to him because that is where we belong. And the Lord also how we feel his separation. He feels the separation of his devotee. He is extremely affectionate towards his devotee, even if we make mistakes. He is like this all loving father. He's willing to forgive our mistakes. He is deeply affectionate to us. And I'm sure many of us will empathize and understand this emotion, because as parents, we are always forgiving our children for whatever they do. We are still there. That doesn't mean that we stand by when they are doing wrong. We obviously correct them, but we do not ever stop loving them. And that's how the Lord is. He never stops loving us. He is very, very affectionate, compassionate, and loving towards his devotees. Not only that, he is also protective. He's protective about his servants Jay and Vijay. He's actually requesting the sages. He's requesting the sages that, I hope the punishment that you give them is short, and I hope that they complete their exile soon and they come back to me so that I can reunite with them. Right? So, in one sense, it also is showing us that, the devotees who are like Jay and Vijay, who are in Vaikuntha. So, we all know the story. They were giving the opportunity that either you go down to the earthly planet and spend 7 lifetimes as devotees, or 3 lifetimes as enemies of the Lord. And they obviously chose 3 lifetimes because they were eager to come back to the Lord. So, in one sense, they didn't truly fall from Vaikuntha. The separation was temporary and there was a purpose behind it. Right? There was a purpose, there was a reason. So, it wasn't really a punishment in one sense, it was a divine arrangement to serve the Lord in a different mood. And we all have heard this purport. How many times Prabhupada says that, the Lord sometimes wants to have different rasas, different ways that he interacts with his devotees. Right? So, what we can take away from here, from this verse, is that if the Lord is so anxious to bring us back, bring his servants back, you know, we also should have that longing, that desire to go back to him. And with Prabhupada's mercy, we've been given that understanding, and we must try and utilize 24 hours of our day just for that goal. And the other thing is that Prabhupada says in his in the Bhagavad Gita and the purport that we are prone to making mistakes, but our mistakes do not disqualify us from his grace. He is still waiting. He is still loving. He is still compassionate. He hasn't banished us from the kingdom forever. He has sent us. We have come here. We've chosen to come to the material world, but he hasn't forgotten us. He's still waiting. He's waiting for us to turn towards him. He's waiting for us to take shelter of him. The path of bhakti is not about perfection. We are not perfect, all of us. We are conditioned souls. We are not perfect. But it is about a relationship. We are all hoping to revive our lost relationship with the Lord. And that is what the process of bhakti is. That is what devotional service is about. It is not about perfection. We are not pure devotees and we know that. However, the Lord is happy to establish the relation with us, even though we are not perfect. And that is what we have to cling to, and that is what we have to hold on to, and that is what should give hope to us. Right? So, just to summarize these 4 verses that we've discussed today, I am 5 minutes over time, but just to summarize, the first verse we spoke about was the reverence that the Lord has towards his devotees, how much he honors his devotees, right? Then the second verse that the 10th verse that is, that we discussed today was about how one must show love, respect, compassion to women, cows, brahmanas, 5 classes, but mainly to the cows and the brahmanas. Then the next verse, the 11th verse, was speaking about how when a brahmana or a Vaishnava curse you or is angry, you accept it with humility, understanding that there is a bigger plan, there is a bigger picture to this, right? Um, and then the final verse, we see that the Lord is um, anxious for his devotee. He's waiting for all of us to come back to him. His love is not based on our perfection or imperfection. He loves all of us. It doesn't matter if we are making mistakes, he still will continue to love us. He's just waiting for us to turn towards him. So I think I shall stop here. And if there are any questions or comments, I will try and answer. If there are corrections, because we've got some very lovely senior devotees here. So, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Madhu Mataji, can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Yes, sometimes, we believe in Krishna's plan, that we have to fit in with his plan. That is what is best for us in this material world. But at times, sometimes things go bad to worse from one after another. There is no respite in the relief that we all are looking for. At
Yeah.
that time, our faith falters.
Yeah.
Still, we have to climb back up. And at times, I think personally, it is difficult.
It is very, very difficult, Puja Mataji. And sometimes, I think, let's just put it this way, right? When a child is upset, he complains to his parents, what is happening? I want this, but you're not giving me this. You keep saying you'll give me tomorrow, 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 tomorrow never comes. Our relation with Radha Gokulanand is that we are children. We are, Sita Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman. We just go and cry in front of them. We just say to them, I'm trying, but I'm getting a little hopeless. Please give me some sign. Please give me some hope. Please give me some respite. So there's no harm in crying for that. You cry in front of them. How a child cries in front of the parents for what he wants. We're not crying for material things, but for spiritual things, we can always cry. And that's the only thing we can do, really. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can cry
Yeah.
in front of the Lord.
Yeah, we do that. Please guide me so that I don't fall down and go back up in my spiritual path. But we need your assistance. And at times I also say that, Krishna, this is all becoming too much for me. And you can, as a devotee, you give me only what I can tolerate as a human being. I'm this material one. I'm not like you. I can tolerate anything. Or like Radhaji, we can't tolerate that much separation. We are not like that. But at times it is overwhelming. But thank you for the answer, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
The emotion that many of us have and many of us should and continue to have. So we should go to the Lord like that. We should go to our guru like that. We should say to Prabhupada, I'm trying, please help me, like that. So yeah, that's the right emotion. Yeah.
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or
Oh,
comments?
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I'm just wondering about this. Well, I've been hearing it quite a bit about a devotee most important than Krishna. How is it possible? Because it's all of our service is aiming to Krishna. Okay, we have to work with devotees. We have to work with Vaishnavas. It's important that we have good relationship. But how, there's a lot of emphasis placed on the devotee. We mustn't offend them, or, okay, offense is not good anyway, but how is it possible that they're more important than Krishna? That's my question.
So the thing is, love for Krishna will come from the heart of a devotee. Love for Krishna will come when a devotee is merciful and compassionate to you. That is one point. The second point is Krishna himself is glorifying the gopis. He says to the gopis that, how will I ever be able to repay the love that you have? So he is putting his devotees above himself, right? Radharani is a devotee of Krishna in one sense, right? We say that Radharani is the highest, the most exalted devotee. But he says to Radharani that you have captured me, you have bought me with your love, and I cannot repay you. So in all examples, in all instances, in all relationships that we see or interactions that Krishna has with his devotees, we are constantly seeing how he feels indebted to his devotees. When Sudama Vipra comes to the palace of Krishna, now Sudama Vipra is a poor Brahmana, but he is Krishna's friend. And when he comes to the palace, Krishna, who is sitting on the bed with his wife Rukmini, immediately gets up, gives his seat to Sudama, washes his feet, right? Not only does he do it, his wife does the same thing, gives so much respect to Sudama. So if you will see in all the stories, in all the examples, when we read the Bhagavatam, we will constantly see this one common theme where Krishna is always glorifying his devotees. And that is the way we understand, and of course from Prabhupada's classes, where Prabhupada talks about you cannot please Krishna. You cannot bypass the devotees and please Krishna ever. Ever. You have to go via the medium of the devotees. So we have to respect the devotees. We have to honor the devotees. We can only reach Krishna if we get the mercy of the devotees. Now, what may happen is, Janukanaya Mataji, is that one may think that, oh, but I don't have that kind of relation with all devotees. That is fine. That is perfectly all right. But you look for such people, you look for those kinds of devotees who inspire you, who make you feel like doing better, who you can look up to. Serve those devotees. Maybe you don't have those feelings for each and everybody, and that is perfectly all right. It's fine. But there will be some devotees that you look up to. There will be some devotees who you feel their association uplifts me. When I speak to them, I feel enthused. I feel inspired. Serve those devotees.
And you know why I asked that question also, because in reality, in real life, without Krishna conscious practice, we have that kind of love for each other, like Sudama and Krishna's love. Our friend is more important sometimes more than our siblings.
Yes.
So we do have that kind of love in reality. So that's why I asked, because Krishna is almighty and he is the one we need to look up to and strive to be with. So that's why I was a bit confused with that.
Yeah. But
Thank you.
The thing is, again, we learned that we need to, Brahmana Kavi Hastini, we need to have the spiritual vision to be able to see Krishna in each and every living entity. Now,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that I'm going to go to the jungles and hug a tiger, because I can't do that. The reason being, although he's a soul, his propensity is that he is going to harm me. But at least I have the vision that I know that wherever there is life, wherever there is spirit soul, there is the supreme soul also. I understand that.
Yes, Haribo. Thank you so much. You, considering you didn't prepare for this, it was so beautiful. Thank you. Real reality connected with our practice. Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments, questions? I think if there are no questions, then we shall stop here. It is 44 past. Good timing. So yeah, thank you all for joining, and I'm so happy to see all of you continuing your Bhagavatam journey. This is the best thing that one can do with one's lives, and it's amazing that you're still here. I pray that you keep doing this. It's really inspiring to see so many of you continuing on this journey. And thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. And Yeah, Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha
Kripa
Vatsaldamevita
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Anantakoti
Anantakoti
Vaishnavrinda
Vaishnavrinda
Ki Jai
Srila
Oh,
Srila
thank you
Prabhupada
very
Prabhupada
much.
Ki Jai
Thank you
Srimad
so much for the
Bhagavatam
wonderful
Ki
class.
Jai
Yeah. Please
Very
come back
nice.
soon,
Thank you,
Mataji.
Mataji.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna, everyone. Thank you, Mataji. A nice class. Hare Krishna. Hare Bol, everyone.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.